Hey guys, Mambo here, and welcome back to episode 2 of my Java tutorial. And in this video, we're going to be going over variables and data types. So, starting off, last episode we kind of looked into variables of how to assign one. So, int for an integer, which has to be a whole number. This can't be a decimal. I'll show you in data types, all the other data types in a second. But then we also have string, which has to be capitalized. We have name and then equals to, and then in quotes put whatever you want the string, which is text basically, equal to. I put Mambo. So we have 5 integers here, and they're each equal to a different one. Also down here I initialized 3 at once, so you can see I've put int x, y, z. And you don't need to assign them right away. You can just leave them like how I did here, or see how I put them on the same line just with commas in between, then I assign it later. But over here I have basically all of the different ways to so you have number 1, which is 10, equals to 10 plus 10. Make sense? So I use the plus sign there, and that's adding these two together. You can't just put number 1 plus number 1, because it's doing that, but you don't know what variable it's assigning that to. That's why you put this here at the beginning. You can also put number 1 plus equals number 1, and that works too. These two are equivalent right now. It's just a shorter hand of doing that. Also, if you want to increase 1 by 1, so just want to increase it by 1, you can do number 1 plus plus, and that increases it by 1. Or you can do minus minus. So if I were to run that, we're just looking at the first one right now. 19, it would have been 20, but now it's 19 because I minus 1 off. System out, okay, and now I just print out the number 1. Same thing with number 2. You can do the same thing, minus equals with the minus. I just use number 2 instead. So now we're minusing, that's 6, because we're minusing 10 off of 25. Okay, why does it say 6? I have no idea. But you get my point. It just for the time being. So we have plus, minus, times, divide, and then percent, which is basically dividing, but then it gives you the leftover. So like if you divide something and it wasn't even, so whatever's left over, that's what you will get. So 5% 1. What does it say at the bottom? Okay, it's got 1 left over, so. Oh, it's because I just added minus 1 off of that. So let's get rid of that, just so that we are not going complicated. We also made number 1 now equal to 20. So now 20 is going to be the whole other thing. That's why it's equal to 5. And the rest of them kind of are self-explanatory. Now it's 18 here at the beginning, which means that 20, and then there's 18 left over. So that's pretty cool. We also have shorthands for all these, I'm pretty sure. So num1, I think you can do percent equals, and then num1, num2, or something like that, and that does work. Like so, percent equals, and then we have slash equals, we have times equals, and we have minus equals, and we have all of them. So that's one way, and I don't know all the options for, so I know you have plus plus, you have minus minus, I mean, you have, I don't think you can do slash doesn't work. You can't do that. I think it just was plus plus and minus minus. That's the only thing that they work for. So that's about it that I have on the variables side, so let's just get rid of that. Moving over to data types. Basically, I just have a list of all the data types here. So these are all the data types: long, int, float, short, byte, double, char, or for character, boolean, and string. String technically isn't a basic data type, and what it actually is it's a string of characters. So the class string, which we can press hold, I think, control, and actually go to the string class. And this is all the code for string, which is a crazy amount of string code. So there's like 3,000 lines of code just for string. So yeah. So as you can see, it's very complicated. I would not, that's why I just showed you real quick. But string, it's not a real, it's not a, as you can see, it's different color, and you have to capitalize it, so it's not a real one, but it does count. So basically, again, you can put anything you want in here, and that's what it's equal to. Boolean is a true or false value. True, I can set that equal to true or false. Character or char, or char, I guess, whatever you want to call it, is basically one letter, number, symbol. We can replace this with a percent sign. I think we can replace it with a number too. Number. It just can't be 2. If we put 2, it errors. So, and you have to put that around a single quote for that to work. A double is a point, like is a decimal point. So you can see I could put 1.01, and then you can put a D after it if you want. It's not necessary, but if you want to make sure that you know that it's a D, that's one way to do it. Most of these have limits. As you can see here, these are all the limits here, but for some reason I could not find the limit for this. Like, I could do that and it still works. So for some reason right now, I don't know why, but double doesn't have a limit for some reason. That's why I put a question mark, because I'm pretty sure it does, just maybe it's not working for some reason. Byte is a really short, a small amount of number, so 127 is the maximum. If I go to 128, it's errors, and it says that I think it's too large, incompatible, so 127. So if you want a short number, the reason why you would even pick the different ones and not just go for int or long is because it takes up less memory when you're making a program. So if you have lots of ints that are only going to be short and never going to be higher than like 100 or 120, then you might as well use that. Short is, again, a shorter value, but it's pretty long still. It's like in the 32,000, so it's still very high, but not super high. Float, you can put an F after an L, and long, you can put an L after. Long, int, and float right now are the same for some reason. I'm pretty sure long is supposed to be longer, and float is supposed to be shorter, and int's in between. But again, these are the maximum. If I went 128, I thought that was supposed to crash, but let's say, or error, 128. You know what? That's funny. Definitely for this one though. Yeah. Clearly the float and the long can actually go longer. If you see, I can just add zeros, but then there's the actual end. 0, 0, 0. There. So that's the limit, and then we can fill this out if we want one. Just by doing that. That's how I found this. I just kind of went up until it errored. So it looks like that works. Interesting. Looks like it's just 9s from the end. I don't know why. But if you add another one, it errors. So maybe the float too. I don't know why the floats. Oh, the float looks like it's even longer than the long. Interesting. So that's interesting. But if we put a 9 right there, yeah, looks like it does. It can just be a 999 value. So that's the biggest float can be. And then with the long, it can be there. That's more accurate actually. There we are. And if I check this, yeah, that does error. So real values, looks like float is actually should be at the top here. So those are all the different values. So again, they take up more bytes to process. So this one only takes up 1, I'm assuming, from its number. So yeah. So those again are all the data types, and they can be interchangeable. So again, pretty much everything that I talked about in the variables apply for them, except for character, string, and boolean. The rest of them apply. All these apply for what I talked about in variables, except for all this stuff up here, the naming and stuff, that applies for all the other data types as well. So anyway, that's gonna be it for this episode, and hope you guys all enjoyed this Java tutorial, and I'll see you guys all later.